Now, since you already know the limit theorems, we will evaluate the limit of polynomial functions using the limit theorems. So consider this example, the limit of the quantity 2x squared plus 5x minus 1 as x approaches 4. So since this is a sum, sabi nung limit theorem number 5 natin, we can actually get the individual limits. Okay? So we have now the limit of 2x squared as x approaches 4 plus the limit of 5x as x approaches 4 minus the limit of 1 as x approaches 4. So ito, by theorem 4, okay, pwede natin siyang gawing 2 times the limit of x squared as x approaches 4 plus theorem 4, 5 times the limit of x as x approaches 4 minus ito by theorem 2. This is just equal to 1. So we now have 2 times, meron tayong squared term dito. So pwede natin gamitin yung theorem 8. The limit of x as x approaches 4 squared plus 5 times, by theorem 3. This is equal to 4 minus 1. So we now have 2 times, ano ito? 4 squared plus 20 minus 1. Or the final answer now is 4 squared is 16 times 2, 32 plus 20, 52 minus 1. So we have 51. So the limit of 2x squared plus 5x minus 1 as x approaches 4 is equal to 51. So next example is the limit of 4x cubed plus 5x squared plus 8x as x approaches negative 2. Again, by theorem 5, pwede nating paghiwalayin yung mga yan. So that becomes the limit of 4x cubed as x approaches negative 2 plus the limit of 5x squared as x approaches negative 2 plus the limit of 8x as x approaches negative 2. So by theorem number 4, pwede nating ilabas yung mga constants. So we have 4 times the limit of x cubed as x approaches negative 2 plus 5 times the limit of x squared as x approaches negative 2 plus 8 times the limit of x as x approaches negative 2. Then, since meron tayong cube tsaka squared terms, we can use theorem 8. So 4 times the limit of x as x approaches negative 2 cube plus 5 times the limit of x as x approaches negative 2 squared plus 8 times ito limit theorem number 3. This is just equal to negative 2. So we now have 4 times limit theorem number 3. So we have negative 2 cube plus 5 negative 2 squared plus 8 times negative 2. So the answer now is negative 32 plus 20 minus 16. So we have negative 28. So the limit now of 4x cubed plus 5x squared plus 8x as x approaches negative 2 is negative 28. Next example, we have the limit of 3x raised to 4 minus 7x minus 2. Therefore, by Theorem 5, we have the limit of 3x raised to 4 as x approaches 3 minus the limit of 7x as x approaches 3 minus the limit of 2 as x approaches 3. By Theorem 4, pwede nating ilabas si constant 3 times the limit of x raised to 4 as x approaches 3 minus 7 times the limit of x as x approaches 3 minus, by limit theorem number 2, this is 2, limit of a constant. So we now have by theorem 8, 3 times the limit of x as x approaches 3 raised to 4 minus 7. Ito by theorem 3, this is equal to 3 minus 2. So we have 3 times limit theorem number 3, this is equal to 3 raised to 4 minus 7 times 3 minus 2. So that is now equal to 220. Therefore, the limit of 3x raised to 4 minus 7x minus 2 as x approaches 3 is equal to 220. So ano ang napansin ninyo? That the limit of f of x as x approaches a is equal to f of a. Yun lang pala yun. Okay? Yung limit pala ng f of x as x approaches a, equal lang siya kapag in-evaluate natin yung function at a, provided that f of x is a polynomial. Okay? So kapag polynomial siya, sure na tayo agad na yung limit niya is actually equal to f of a. So balikan natin yung mga example natin. So since 2x squared plus 5x minus 1 is a polynomial, so actually pwede pala nating i-substitute na lang si 4 doon sa function natin. So we have 2 times 4 squared plus 5 times 4 minus 1. So this is equal to 51. Same is true with 4x cubed plus 5x squared plus 8x as x approaches negative 2. So since this is a polynomial, so pwede natin siyang ipasok na lang yung negative 2. So we have negative 2 cubed plus 5 times negative 2 plus 8 times negative 2. So that is now equal to negative 28. And finally, the limit of 3x raised to 4 minus 7x minus 2 as x approaches 3. Since this is also a polynomial, so we can actually substitute, okay, the value of a to our x. So we now have 220.